and saying this is the way it is. Imagine if you grew up in Cleveland. Imagine if you grew up in Cincinnati. I mean, seriously, think about all the places where you could have been from. Atlanta. How long was it that the Falcons were terrible? Yes, yeah. Houston had Dan Pastorini, and they had Billy White Shoes Johnson, and they had Earl, and the guys that they were amazing, but they didn't ever win anything in terms of a championship. So yeah, I mean, there's a ton of places where you just have gotten completely spoiled, and it wasn't just the kids who grew up, but the guys who were 30 in 1970, who now are and remember those glory years too, that they were really spoiled by it. And I think that when the Steelers then lose in Super Bowl 30, and Neil O'Donnell makes Mr. Brown into a Super Bowl MVP and makes him a gajillion dollars by throwing it to the wrong team a couple times, and then Super Bowl 40 comes along, and Bettis goes out in a show of glory in his hometown in Detroit, and Hines Ward is a Super Bowl MVP, right? Doesn't that when he was catching the touchdown pass and all that, or did he throw? I'm just going to think here. 40 would have been, yeah, he was Super Bowl MVP, and then 43 would have been Santonio Holmes against Arizona. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just who was a quarterback from Indiana? It was a quarterback became a wide receiver. Randall L.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was who I was trying to think of on that trick play in Super Bowl 40. But, there's just so many times that Steeler fans, let's be completely honest, we've been really spoiled in terms of what has happened around here. And now the reality is that it's been a long time since they've won one. And, not as long as it was between Super Bowl 14 and Super Bowl 40. Hasn't been that long, but it feels like a long time, doesn't it? For those of us that remember all the championships and the years that they, that they did get it done.
We are so spoiled. I mean,
no doubt. No, really? And then by the way, the hockey team comes along and wins 5 of them, right?
Right.
I mean, so let's not forget about that either. Yeah, they've been around since 1967, but they have had a tremendous amount of success since they were part of that expansion from the original 6. So, yeah, it definitely is a different world that we live in as Pittsburgh sports fans, for sure.
Yeah. So, what do you think? How do you think that this Super Bowl is going to go? Who do you think is going to win?
Steelers. Yeah, I think the Steelers are going to win. I think that Le'Veon Bell is going to have a really, really big game. I think Bradshaw is going to be amazing, and Rocky Bleier, boy, what a great blocking. But those guys don't play for the Steelers aren't in it. You probably should have gotten a sports guy to talk about this, because I don't know.
It's funny because the Steelers aren't in it, but they don't lead in championships anymore. Now they lead in drama.
Yeah, well, they lead in championships too, but yeah, there's a lot of drama for sure. I think that who do I think is going to win? I think that New England's going to win. Who do I want to win? Anybody but New England.
Right.
The reason that I really, in all sincerity, the reason that I want the Rams to win is because I want Aaron Donald to win a Super Bowl. And that sounds like just a real Pittsburgh homer kind of thing. But if you've ever spent any time either around him or around people who know him, you understand why I want Aaron Donald to win a Super Bowl. I mean, the kid is from here. He went to Penn Hills, and then he went to Pitt. And, this is somebody that wasn't ever given anything and wasn't ever really even thought to be, the bluest of the blue chips, or that this was going to be a superstar. And it wasn't like he, went and played for Nick Saban in Alabama. He went and played on, some Pitt teams that weren't necessarily all that great. But nobody could ever block this guy. And he just kept getting better and better and better. And before you know it, wait a second, he's a defensive rookie of the year in the NFL? Didn't realize he was that good when he was at Pitt, but look, he keeps getting better and better. And, and instead of going down to Miami and hanging out on jet skis and things like that, when he was involved in a contract situation, what did he do? He went to the Steelers' Southside facility and worked out with the Pitt football team so that he could be better and better and better. He has a locker in the Pitt locker room because he is just considered by the coaching staff, sort of the gold standard of how hard you work and how you get better by working harder and not counting on what you've done before. So even though he is not a member of the football team, even though he didn't even play for Pat Narduzzi because Narduzzi wasn't here then, he is a part of their culture at Pitt because of the reputation that he has, the work ethic that he has, and the example that he sets for the now Panthers. And you can't tell me that if Pitt is walking into a living room and they're going up against another school and they're talking to a defensive lineman somewhere, and you say, hey, we had Aaron Donald, they say, who? Everybody knows who he is.
Right.
I mean, if you've watched any of the coverage this week on NFL Network and the things like, who's the face of the Rams? It's not Todd Gurley. It's not their quarterback who's a number one draft pick. It's Aaron Donald. A defensive lineman is the face of that franchise, and he's from Pittsburgh. He's from Penn Hills. He played at Pitt. How much more pure Pittsburgh could you be? Unless he had like an Iron City tattoo on him.
Right.
I mean, it's just, seriously, I mean, that's about the only way you can be any more pure Pittsburgh, right? I mean, it's a great story, and I really do. One of the things, I don't know if you saw this, but that was the EA Sports every year does their they run through the game 150 times or whatever the number is in terms of coming up with a simulation of what they think is going to happen. And I think their final score was Rams winning 30-27. But the thing that was amazing about it was not that, was the fact that their MVP, their projected MVP, was Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like, well, I could see that happening because I could see him sacking a quarterback 3 times. And we know that as football players that the way you beat Brady is what? Put pressure on him.
Yep.
Knock him around. Hit him. Well, Aaron Donald gets to the quarterback as much as anybody, 20-some sacks, right? 20.5 sacks, whatever this year. He gets to the quarterback as much as any. I could see that being an equation that would lead to a Rams win. You definitely could. But that's the reason why I would love to see the Rams win. Will they? I don't know. I mean, Brady and Belichick, give them 2 weeks. You understand the odds are stacked against you in that regard. But man, I would have said that the Brady and Belichick would have won some other Super Bowls that they haven't won here, in the past too, as recently as last year, right? So I don't know. I think it'll be fun to watch. It'll be a good time to watch some football one more time before it goes away till August.
Do you like that the Patriots are so good and that they go to the Super Bowl every single year? It's like we know who the villain is. It's like we know, okay, everybody, this is the established team that everybody hates and we have to try to knock off.
But the Steelers were that team, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Steelers were that team.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys have been that team, right? The 49ers have been that. I mean, let's be completely honest. If we go through the annals of the NFL, there have been the Green Bays and the Kansas Cities early, right? There have been Minnesota. They didn't win, but they dominated their conference.
Yeah.
4 times they went to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
There have been the Steelers, who won 6 times, including 4 through the 70s and early 80s. Mm-hmm. Buffalo, how many times did they go that they didn't win, right?
Remember
how many times did
49ers
Denver go? Right. How many times did Denver go that they didn't win before finally, they did get it done with, John Elway and then, obviously with Peyton Manning. I mean, so let's be completely honest. I mean, this just to me is sort of the latest iteration of who is, sort of the mini dynasty, if you will, of an era. Now, granted, they've been there a lot in this recent past, but keep in mind, too, the Patriots went and they got destroyed by a Chicago Bears team in 86. So it was the end of the 85 season, Super Bowl in 86. So, and then, they've also had some Drew Bledsoe teams and Tony Eason teams and things like that, that Bledsoe got hurt and Tom Brady comes in. And, they've been really, really good here as of late. But I think that the NFL is very, very cyclical, and they've had the players and managed to keep enough of their core and bring in other ones that weren't their core to make it happen. So, good for them that they've figured out a way to do it. And, I saw somebody put something on Twitter today that, the Patriots probably spend less money on their running backs and wide receivers than what the Steelers are going to spend for Antonio Brown.
Right.
And then you don't even think about Ben Roethlisberger, and you don't even think about Le'Veon Bell and what they're making. And the Patriots. I mean, seriously, you got Edelman and things like that, but I want you to go through and I want you to name 4 wide receivers for the Patriots and name 3 running backs. A lot of people, you couldn't do it because you just don't know who they are. And next year, probably 3 of those 7 won't be there because they're going to get some other flavor of the month. And they plug it in, and if you don't fit with what they do, then you're just unceremoniously dispatched and they find somebody else. And, it's just the way that they do things, and it's been successful. It really has. It's been successful.
Yeah, and it's fun when they lose. I think.
Yeah, it's around here. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely not a problem. There's not going to be a lot of people celebrating that a Patriots win. That's for sure. But there will be. There are some. I mean, there's definitely some Patriots fans here in town. But yeah, I think there will be more people who would be happy if it ended up being a win for the Rams instead.
I think the Patriots have 5 Super Bowl wins. So if they win, they would tie the Steelers. So Pittsburgh fans
correct.
have a big.
It's the same thing, right? Whenever Baltimore was playing San Francisco, however number of years that was, right? It was sort of like, oh my word, if I have to listen to more Harbaugh versus Harbaugh, I'm going to throw up. But the issue was, okay, which is the lesser of 2 evils? Do you want evil John Harbaugh to win and Baltimore get a championship? Oh, my word, that just seems nauseating. Or do you want his brother, Jim Harbaugh, right, to win? And, oh, boy, that would be – because then San Francisco would have the same number of boy, I don't know that I want that either. So, I don't know. Pittsburgh fans are funny how they watch football when their team's not in it. There are always reasons why. You want this or you want that, or you don't want this more than you don't want that, if that makes any sense. It's which is the lesser of 2 evils sometimes. Yeah. So, anyway.
All right, sir. Well, thank you so much.
I'm always glad to talk news with you. This really hasn't been news, has it? So it's kind of been sports. But I love the years that.
I was going to say, the only news is who was that governor, I think in Kentucky, that he was complaining that that what are they doing shutting down all these schools? Get tougher.
Talking about how soft kids are today? Is that what you mean? Yeah, they're cold. Why are we shutting down schools? Kids are soft. Yeah, that was something that was making the rounds today. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are saying, it was 6.5 miles, and I walked to school uphill both ways. Didn't matter if it was snowing or... Yeah, I think that there are times that we all sort of fall into that category of exaggeration to some extent of what it was really like.
Yeah, so we're not the only cranky old guys out there.
No, we're not. We're not the only curmudgeons in the room. Let's put it that way.
All right, sir. Hey, thank you so much.
Well, I'll go ahead and I'll get you Mike Krzyzewski's number here in just a second, and you can see if you can get him on the phone for the next edition of the podcast.
Sure.
All right?
Yeah, I'll text him.
Yeah, glad to do it. See you.
All right, I'll see you. Okay, it's Super Bowl week, and just as big as the game are the commercials. And with me to talk about the Super Bowl commercials is Lauren Arnone Dodge. She is at Joker's Cuckoo, and we know why you have that name from the last time you were on. You're as you say in your profile, Jack Nicholson obsessed, and she's a writer for Big Play. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, thanks for being on. You're in Ohio, right?
I am, yes.
Are you getting this
chilly Ohio?
Yeah, are you getting this polar vortex wonderfulness?
We are. So yeah, yesterday it was pretty bad. And for whatever reason, I think today was worse. Like, I don't know. Like, I woke up and my bones were just hurting. And today, like after work, I went downtown to do a studio. There was like a private studio concert, and we had to walk a couple blocks. And I just that was it. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Just leave me here to die. It was just so cold.
I had to get gas, and I was only out there for a minute or two. And yeah, I wanted to die. I'm like, yeah, this is nuts. I don't know if it's worth continuing if I have to deal with this weather.
No, but we should have a heat wave here pretty soon, I think. I think we're looking at 30s maybe. Yeah.
Which will feel like a heat wave. Yeah, it'll feel like the hottest temperatures ever.